involved in cooking, and there's making things look nice for them and making sure they eat the right foods. One of my personal bugbears, I don't know if it's just my children, is table manners. I mean, literally, it doesn't matter how nice the food looks, my children will eat rice, grain by grain, ignore these silver things that they seem to think are like decorations, and ignoring the napkin, and the grain, you know, and it's like, these are forks, and they eat like complete pigs. Well, and I've tried since they were 2. So, you know,
I think at the beginning when children experiment with feeding themselves, you just got to let them get on with it, and you've got to like take a deep breath and expect there to be a massive amount of mess, because the worst you can do is wipe their mouth all the time. They won't enjoy it, and it takes them a while to get proficient at feeding themselves. Unfortunately, beyond that, they are a law unto themselves. My son, I used to say, you really ought to have a trough, because instead of like bringing the food up to him, he used to go down here and shovel it in, and I'm like, what is all this about? No one eats like that. But he had his own style of eating. That went on for about 10 years. But you know, you can try and teach them manners, but it takes a while.
So maybe by 18, let's
face it, they don't listen to us.
They don't listen to us. Maybe when they're humiliated in front of their friends, eating like total pigs.
I doubt when they do it at school with other children around them. I think it's different.
You have your own line of food.
Yes.
Which brands, other brands, do you think do it well?
Trouble with children's food is either it's unhealthy and has taste, or it is healthy and has zero taste and is really bland.
Or vile taste.
And I don't think healthy food has to be bland. So I try very hard to make sure that the recipes that we have in our toddler range taste very good. And you know, it's by adding things like sun-dried tomato puree, or we put garam masala in, and I'll find ways to make it taste good without having to add salt, because you want low salt in children's food.
Yeah.
And it can be done, but it is a challenge. And that's probably why a lot of the children's meals are very, very bland.
Right. I mentioned earlier, the original, I hate the term, but Mumpreneur.
Yes.
Having started off in 1989.
Yes.
Which you said was when your son Nicholas was born.
Yes.
So, and you had your 3 children in very quick succession, didn't you?
Well, I lost my first child.
Yes,
and then our second child within a year of Natasha dying. But they're all very close together, and I thought it would be nice to have them close together, because you know what, they're a great unit. They love going out with each other. They're very close.
That's so nice.
Well, unless one of the girls wants to wear what the other girl wants to wear, then World War III is broken out. It's just terrible.
That's happening in my household. My children are 8, so
yeah, it doesn't get any better, I tell you.
Yeah, I know, I hear. But how did you balance, so basically you had 3 quite young children, maybe under the age of 5.
Because I chose specifically to do something that had to do with my life, and my life was to do with children, and I was cooking a lot of meals for my children. So I thought, because I was very interested and determined to give them a good diet, so I thought, I'm doing this anyway, why don't I kind of make it into my profession? I love cooking, I always loved cooking, it was my passion. I was a musician.
Yeah, I know, you were a harpist.
I was, yeah.
How could you fit a harp onto you? I mean, the harp must be enormous compared to you. That's hilarious.
I did it for 14 years professionally. Long time.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that. Do you still
have
a tinkle? No.
Unfortunately not. It takes even like just to tune it takes half an hour, and it's my work is very full time right now.
Yes, I'm sure.
But my kids all learn to play the violin, and they're really good violinists. I kind of spend a lot of time doing Suzuki violin with them, being a real mum who likes to
tiger mother
and stuff. A real tiger mother with violin.
How did you balance work and family? Did you make specific, you know, what decisions did you make around that?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, because I chose writing because I knew I could write in between their naps and I could still be a full-time mum. Don't forget, I was a mum who lost a child, so having children for me was very important.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to be there with them at everything. And my first child, I was like, you know, it was me at Tumbletops, and I did all the playgroups, and I started my own playgroup. But at the same time, I'd always worked, and I had to have a challenge in my life and a goal in my life. And I made the decision after Natasha died that music for me was too superficial to continue with. I really wanted to do something to help children, and I had no idea what it was going to be until Nicholas wouldn't eat. And then I realised that actually I was a good cook, and I could probably help children and get them to eat better. And that was my thing, and he helped me find that by being a bad eater, so I thank him for that. But then I wrote this book, and then no one wanted to publish it, and I thought I'd spent 2.5 years writing a book, and that was a complete waste of my time. Then eventually it did get published, And I think it was a good profession for me because I was a very full-time mother and I wrote 17 books before I ever thought about doing a food range because I knew that I wanted to be with my kids. But I always knew at the back of my mind that I wanted to have a food range. I knew that's what I wanted to do, but I waited until they were at full-time school.
Yeah, old enough.
And I had more time. And then I hired a consultant and I used the book royalties money to help me find a factory and to pay for the packaging. And I went myself to supermarkets and I was really scared because I thought there's only big companies in food, like how am I ever going to succeed? But I got into Sainsbury's and I worked really hard to get the product to be as good as it is, and it is a really good product. Sold into Sainsbury's. I think we were in 150 stores within 3 months. We were in 450 stores.
That's
then
amazing.
we got into Tesco, and the food range became very successful. It's been in supermarkets since 2006. It's beyond my wildest dreams. I have to pinch myself because I never thought I would get to where I am. When I wrote my first book and no one wanted to publish it, I never thought. It actually is the second best-selling non-fiction hardback book of all time. And
That's amazing.
And my app on feeding babies is #1 on the App Store on food and drink. But that shows you how much mothers care about what they're feeding their children right now.
Yeah, totally.
And people are right. What you feed your child in the early years will determine what they eat for the rest of their life.
And how they eat,
Yeah.
and eating disorders, and you don't want that. And if you instill in children about eating a balanced, healthy, ingesting healthy foods without it being boring, and you can have a little bit, but majority is healthy, then they can learn good food habits.
Well, my daughter works in an office which is miles away from anywhere, and there's nowhere to go to get lunch. So she has a packed lunch, and I say, "What do you want?" So she wants quinoa salad.
Hysterical.
She wants like Chinese cabbage with chicken, griddled chicken with my dressings on, and she's asking for all this fantastic healthy stuff. I'm not saying that that's what she can have whatever she wants.
I wonder what her co-workers are saying behind
They
her
all
back.
are. Do you know what? I made 3 packed lunches today because they all wanted to have what she was having.
What, for her friends?
Yes,
at
because
work.
her friends like it now.
How funny.
I know. But some of these children, she wants a child now, she's in her 20s, they're really interested in healthy food. They want to eat healthily. They know it's better for them.
So when your book wasn't published, how did you not give up? How did you...
I nearly did give up.
Yeah.
I nearly did. Every single publisher I sent it to either didn't reply or said, who are you? What do you know about feeding children? And why would anybody buy a book on baby food when they can buy the baby food in jars? Because very few mothers were cooking themselves. And then I played tennis with somebody who knew a book packager, and I went to see them, and they took my book to Frankfurt Book Fair. Heard nothing for 3 months. And then Simon & Schuster in America bought the book. Then I went back to Random House with the book packager, and then Random House published it. And now I'm with Random House and with Simon & Schuster, because that book became mega, mega successful. Now, if that book hadn't been successful, I doubt that I'd have my career. It's almost like
if your son hadn't been fussy.
And my son hadn't been fussy. But it's that one small step. And I think in life, you have to be brave, and it is very hard to begin. And that one small step is the most difficult step. And it's the fear of failure that stops people from moving on. And I always think that the opposite of success is not failure. The opposite of success is not trying.
Yeah.
And we all fail, and I failed in many things that I've done, but I've always learned from my failures more than from my successes.
That's
and
really
there's something
good
that I believe in. It's something that Steve Jobs said, and I think it's always stuck in my mind. And he always said, the only way to do great work is to do something that you love. And if you haven't found what you love, don't give up. It's like matters of the heart. You'll know when you find it. And the only way to really do something and be successful is to choose something you're very passionate about. Because along the way, there's so many things that are going to maybe make you want to give up. Yeah. And it's got to be that inner strength that you have and that love for what you do that keeps you going during the bad times.
That is great advice to any mumpreneurs out there. There's many of them.
Yeah.
So where are you for Christmas this year?
I'm going to LA, and I'm going to go on a dude ranch. I love animals.
Do you ride?
I do ride, not very well though.
So what do you feel about having sort of Christmas in the sun? Do you have a traditional Christmas meal, or are you in a hotel, or are you with friends?
I tend to have a Christmas meal before I go.
Oh, you do early Christmas?
Yeah, and then I go away and I don't even realise it's Christmas, to be honest. I'll be on a horse.
You'll be on a horse?
On Christmas
You'll be
Day.
riding. What's on the horizon for you? We love a scoop at Kids Style Junkie. What's hot off the press?
Okay, we're just launching our baby purées in China.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's exciting. So
have you adapted the recipes for No.
No,
Okay.
they quite like westernised food.
Okay.
We'll see how that goes. We are building a big community, which is going to be really state of the art, which we're just starting work on. So that's very exciting. On a social networking site.
Oh.
On everything. It's a big project. And I've written a new book called The Busy Ones Cookbook, which comes out in February. And we have a new 25th anniversary edition, because it's 25th anniversary, of the Complete Baby Matilda Meal Planner coming out next year. So I've got 53 new or revised recipes in the book, new photography, it's a slightly bigger book, done quite a lot of work on it, and that's been very exciting. Because I feel really emotionally attached to that book.
No, I mean,
it's like my 5th child, that book, really.
No, completely.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, 25 years, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, surely you'll be celebrating that in some way. What are you going to do? You've got to celebrate that. I mean, apart from obviously releasing the book, personally, it's like a major milestone.
I haven't thought about that. I should do something about it.
Yeah, like drop hints around the family to do something, because that needs to be celebrated.
A lot of work goes into each of those books. I mean, it's a year of my life.
I
will not put a recipe in unless I absolutely love it. I won't just put an okay recipe in, it has to be a brilliant recipe.
And do you have like a little panel of, just as an aside here, do you have a little panel of tasters?
I do.
Can my children join? Can I?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Can I?
Very welcome. So yes, and we work with nurseries, so we get hundreds of children to taste recipes.
And if it's like if they're like they don't like it,
Then
it doesn't pass.
Yeah, no, I'll ask them like, what's wrong with it? What didn't you like about it? And I'll kind of.
And if they say it's not sweet enough, you might add a bit more. You adjust it,
Yeah,
do you?
all the time. And if we put something out there in the supermarket and it doesn't sell, we'll look at why, what's wrong with it, why don't people like it. Generally speaking, we test it before we do that, but, it's what the consumer wants that matters and what the child wants. And children have very different taste to us. Visible onions, green bits in their tomato sauce, We grow out of it eventually, but you have to pound it to them a little bit sometimes.
Well, some people don't grow out of it. My husband has not grown out of it, but anyway. Okay, thank you so much for your time. It's been a real pleasure to chat to you, and
had fun.
Check the website for more information about all the things we've just discussed.